episode 1 of Distorted Entertainment. My name is Ethan Carpenter, and I'm joined by Dr. I Prefer Death Without the Core, Mitch Wade.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, hey, everybody, how's it going? Ethan?
I'm doing, dude, you're really nailing these intros. I just want you to know that you're going great. So, at the same time as this episode, or at least, I mean, whether or not we had a couple days beforehand or whatever, I recommend, if you have not listened to episode 0, you should probably go listen to episode 0. We talk a little bit more about Mitch and I's background in music and what our tastes are, and the overall concept of distorted entertainment. But just as a quick rundown of the docket, and this is kind of how we're going to shape every episode here in the future. We got our intros out of the way. We have we want to talk about news in the entertainment world, whether that be music related, movies, video games, things of that sort, and then we will go into the meat and potatoes of distorted entertainment, which will be Mitch and I discussing the albums we gave each other, which for this episode I gave Mitch Toxicity by System of a Down, and he gave me Esoteric Malacology by the band Slugdge. I may or may not mess up that name throughout this entire episode, and I'm completely okay with it. So and then after that, we'll go over what we've been doing and watching for the past week, and we'll give each other albums for the next episode, whenever that might be. And we'll leave it off on a song by one of my friends' bands, and that'll be quite exciting. Mitch, do you have any? Well, first of all, before we go into like specific things that we brought up, I obviously would like to say, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, and the singer of Power Trip, Riley Gale. Both of them passed away very recently. Chadwick Boseman was suffering from colon cancer. Apparently he has had it for a few years now, and he did like 6 movies battling through chemo and things like that. And I mean,
that shit's intense. I couldn't even imagine.
I mean, he lost weight and bulked up for different movies, and he did that all while battling cancer. And for that, like, the dude's stronger than I'll ever be, Yeah. So I mean, so rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. And, my condolences go out to his family and his friends, and same for Riley Gale. I've never really listened to Power Trip, but it's always sad when something like this happens. And
I mean, I saw them live when they toured with Lamb of God and Anthrax, Deaf Heaven. It's not my style of music, but there was definitely energy there, and it was really, really good. And man, when I saw that, even though I'm not a fan of their music, that still hit, because I was like, dude's pretty young, and like I just saw them only a couple of years ago.
Apparently,
I can't believe
he died at 34. That's relatively young, and so again, rest in peace to Riley Gale and Chadwick Boseman, and our condolences here at Distorted Entertainment goes out to all of their family and friends, and all of their fans, of course, as well, that hit. And we're gonna move on from that. So, in terms of other news that's a little less on the macabre side, this article I found is a little old. Not old. It's from August 12th, but the main thing is I can only find it on one website, so it might even be like complete BS. And I haven't read it. I don't care. It's more of just about the the headline. So this is from Metal Addicts, and I would like to discuss with you. Here's the headline: Corey Taylor says he wants to make black metal.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about that one?
Well, first of all, can Corey Taylor even do a fry scream, or
that is a good question?
Black metal stuff.
I mean, here's the thing: Corey is a good harsh vocalist. I think, and
100%.
he's definitely come back. Like there was a time where he really kind of lost his scream, but if you've listened to, did you ever listen to the We Are Not Your Kind?
I'm just going to answer with no.
It's their newest record.
Yeah,
Came out.
I mean, I haven't. I haven't listened to a Slipknot record since Volume 3.
Okay. The two after that, you're not missing a whole lot, but the new one is actually not half bad.
Was that the one that had The Devil and I, or is that the one prior to this one?
That was 0.5, the Gray Chapter. That came before. 0.5 has a few good tracks. You have like Custer, The Devil and I, and
I did like The Devil and I.
It was a good track. I actually really like Custer. The Negative one is really good as well. That was the first song they released, kind of as a hey, we're sorry we've been gone. We were just kind of dealing with Paul passing away. That was good. But if you want to check out one song from the new Slipknot record, I highly suggest Nero Forte. That was the highlight of the record for me. All
right.
So I
back to black metal.
Yeah, so there's a little bit, and this kind of goes with something else I wanted to talk about. Corey released some singles, like single material.
Which I haven't listened to at all.
That is completely fine. Let me look it up on Spotify just so I don't mess up the names or anything. So Corey Taylor, he's starting to do a little bit of solo project music. He released a single which actually had 2 tracks. I don't know what that would be called, but I'm just going to call it a single or an EP. He released 2 songs. One is called Black Eyes Blue, and the other is called CMFT Must Be Stopped, and that's featuring Tech Nine and Kid Bookie. I've never heard of Kid Bookie, but I have heard of Tech Nine. So based on that, there is reading through this article. He's asked, what is some stuff you want to do? And Corey replied, if this story's true, like I said, it's the only thing I've been able to find specifically about like him wanting to do black metal. I would love to do something with quote, I would love to do something with Eminem, which would be rad, or even Ice Cube or Public Enemy, something in that realm, unquote. Corey added, quote, but then also maybe do something. I would like to try something with black metal. Would be sick. I don't know. I'm such a weirdo that I don't know. We'll see what happens, unquote. Corey, the song CMFT Must Be Stopped is a rap song.
Well, I mean, I figured with Tech Nine and everything. Interesting that you brought up Tech Nine, just because Surge did a song with Tech Nine.
Did it? Well,
if you didn't,
I feel like Surge kind of works with anybody.
That's fair.
It's kind of like Travis Barker. Travis Barker does music with anybody. I'm pretty sure I have an album with Travis Barker. So CMFT must. So let's talk about can't talk. Black Eyes Blue first. Black Eyes Blue is a very, actually, I have notes about it real quick. I'm gonna pull it up on the old Facebooks here because I don't want to. And because I have not listened to it in a minute.
Just so you can. So you can interject this. You asked me if I had any news, and then you kind of just cut me off.
I'm sorry.
But I don't have any news. So I don't have news. There you go. You can clip this and put it at.
No, I'm not even gonna edit this. I'm gonna keep that just
a clip
just because it's funny. So I apparently did not have any notes about Black Eyes Blue, but from my memory, nice. I just haven't listened to it in a little bit. It's a very pretty song. It's got some interesting, almost funk style guitar. I don't know if Corey is playing it himself. If he is, the actual guitar playing is not half bad. I'm a little iffy about the lead section. Not really to my taste, but the vocals are good. I've had no issues with Corey Taylor's singing voice, but it's very poppy with a kind of a funk undertone with some of the guitar work. It's pretty good. I've genuinely listened to it. Now moving on to CMFT Must Be Stopped. For those of you who don't know, I try not to curse. but CMFT stands for Corey Motherfucking Taylor.
Wow, this is a good song, I can tell.
Yeah. So when it comes to this thing, it's weird because when you go back and listen to the self-titled Slipknot record, Corey does rap in that album. It's not like,
oh yeah, I mean, that was like
standard
one
rap.
of the
It's very
staples.
aggressive.
That was the staples of like new metal at the time, kind of.
Yeah, so he had some rapping parts, but maybe he's out of practice when it comes to rap. This isn't amazing. It's not horrible. It's definitely not the worst rap I've ever heard. He has a decent flow and some interesting lyrical. Actually, let me pull up the lyrics because they're a doozy. CMFT must be stopped lyrics.
I kind of want to hear this.
If you want to listen to it real quick.
Right now.
Huh?
Yeah, I might as well do it right now, right?
Yeah, if you want to like give that a listen while I talk about it, it's cool. Or I can hold on. It's only 3 minutes. It's like a 3-minute song, 5 minutes.
Now go for it.
Cool. So CMFT, I will go ahead and just say that Corey Taylor is the weakest part of this album, or this song rather. He's easily outclassed by Tech Nine and Kid Bookie. I guess Kid Bookie does the first guest verse and Tech Nine does the second. But also, like, if you're gonna have a guest spot for your rap song, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing if you're being outshined by the featuring artists. And I think that's probably a good call. They kind of holster up the rest of the track. The chorus is not anything to write home about. I don't need nothing, not a mother effing thing. I said I don't need nothing, not a mother effing thing. I don't need nothing. Repeat ad nauseum. Like I said, the lyrics aren't fantastic. They're okay. It's nearly not the I can't talk today, I apologize. It's not nearly the worst rap I have ever heard, but Black Eyes Blue is definitely better.
I don't know why, but this is kind of reminded me of something that Hollywood Undead would do.
I thought it was very I had like Limp Bizkit vibes because of course I did.
I can see that.
I haven't seen the music video, but apparently there are 27 cameos in the music video, including 22 different musicians and bands and 3 wrestlers. Musicians and bands that appear in the video are Baby Metal, which I can dig, Ben Bruce, Benji Webb, Caleb Shomo, Griffin Taylor, which is his son, John 5, which I believe is Rob Zombie's guitarist, Lejon Witherspoon, Lars Ulrich, interesting, Lizzie Hale, Marilyn Manson, Maximum the Hormone, Adam Darsky, Nikki Sixx, Otep Shamaya, Randy Blythe, Rob Halford, Ronnie Radke, Gross, Scott Ian, Steel Panther, and Zilla Kami. And then the wrestlers are Baron Corbin, Chris Jericho, and Corey Graves, which all hail King Corbin and Le Champion Chris Jericho.
Wow.
Did you?
Yeah, okay, I'm seeing the cameos now.
Oh, are you watching the video? I have not seen the video. Okay. So, I mean, what do you think about CMFT must be stopped? I just think it's okay at best. I mean, it's definitely not hitting the wow. I want to re-listen to this several times over. Oh, there's Marilyn Manson. Okay.
All right.
But Black Eyes Blue is pretty decent when it comes to Corey Taylor's. So he dropped those earlier. I'm excited to hear what else Corey has. I think he has more of a chance of going somewhere with his singles or his solo projects than, say, Jonathan Davis. Apparently, Jonathan Davis's solo project is not very good at all.
Which one's Jonathan?
Korn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That is not to say that I dislike Jonathan Davis. I actually do enjoy his voice, and I have nothing against Korn. Surprisingly, Korn does really, really good covers. I really like Korn's covers. that's all I got on Corey Taylor. But some other, well, I think Mitch will like to discuss this one a little bit. Gojira has returned with a single called. I had it up here a second ago. I'm surprised you haven't interrupted with what it's called off the top of your head.
You're right. I'm going to be honest, my mind fucking blanked. I know. Like,
Another World.
That's right.
So yes, I started getting messages from Mitch when Gojira began posting teasers for what ended up being a new song. Here's my thoughts, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. Yep. Another World is very similar to Magma.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely are continuing with a similar sound, and their sound's been constantly like changing, evolving slowly between each album.
Mm-hmm.
So this might just be a transition song. The other thing is they haven't connected it to a new album. They were just like, here's a song.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was looking at their I had it pulled up on Wikipedia. Why was I looking through Spotify? It's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not attached to an album at all. But
which
it's
hurt my feelings.
Yeah, obviously. I just thought it was okay. I'm really craving like heavy Gojira. And I don't know if that maybe they're kind of pulling an Opeth where they're wanting to do more like a bit of a softer style for a little bit, or just going in a different direction. But like for me, I started really getting into them because back when I was in Fleshbore, we started. I knew nothing about Gojira. I was like, Gojira, yeah, whatever. I like Godzilla, but. The drummer was really into them, and he's like, why don't we cover Heaviest Matter of the Universe? I listened to that song and I'm like, this is cool, but like whatever. I wasn't really into it until like I started listening to it more. I'm like, this song actually just slaps, and that whole record from Mars to Sirius just slaps.
It's such a good record.
Dude, it probably is my favorite guitar and bass tone, period. Like, it's so crushing, and I would love to hear. Live? I have not. I really want to, but I haven't gotten to see them. So I heard they put on a great show.
I've seen them. They're the band that I've seen the most live, and I even saw them at Red Rocks. For people that don't know, they recorded a live DVD out there, along with Opeth also doing it. So I got to go see two of my favorite bands after I graduated from college, and I skipped graduation.
Was Leprous attached to that too?
No. It was Devin Townsend, Project, Opeth, and Gojira.
Okay, because I remember when I first rejoined Nail the Mix, they had that Leprous live track, but they, as a special bonus, they also had Opeth, which I thought maybe it was just recorded in the same area or the same tour.
No, I think they just wanted to give two live prog metal rock sounds.
Yeah, fair enough. But also, if you haven't listened to Leprous, I actually really dig Leprous. Or at least that song. I've listened to a little bit. I really like the song Below. That's their top rated track on Spotify.
I've only really listened to Cole, the album.
I don't know if I've listened to all of that or not.
Yeah, so I personally enjoyed that Gojira track. I thought it was good. It didn't, like super excite me. I just like you, I kind of was like, oh, it's more Magma, and I'm like, that's not bad. I like Magma. But
yeah,
at the same
I've listened
time, I'm like,
to most of Magma, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's all right. I dig it, but because I think this is why I wasn't super into Heaviest Matter when they first brought it up. Because when people were really talking up Gojira, the first song I listened to was Stranded. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is cool, but it's so repetitive.
When honestly, I have a friend that really likes Stranded, honestly.
Oh, it's a good track. Now I really dig it, but at the time I was like, okay,
when it dropped,
I don't get it.
My heart like kind of sank. I was like, oh no, what is Gojira doing? When you listen to the full album, it actually fits really well into like the album sound itself.
Yeah. So yeah, that was I dig I liked the new Gojira track, but honestly I've listened to it maybe once and I haven't really felt the need to go back to listen to it again yet.
I've listened to it like 5 or 6 times by now. I think it's been out for what, like a month now? Close to
something like I am on there. Let's see if they have a exact date. No, it just says 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, it's decent. Well, here's a quick question for you, because I forgot that they weren't always known as Gojira. They were originally known as Godzilla, which is really weird. I feel like they would have a even worse time being called Gojira because that's the original name. But
right.
Is there Godzilla work worth listening to?
Yeah, it's more in the vein of their first album, which if you haven't listened to, I actually highly recommend Terra Incognita.
I remember I think I've tried listening to it before, but I wasn't super into it.
It's nothing like From Mars to Sirius or The Way of All Flesh or L'Enfant Sauvage or any of that. It was definitely, we are a new band. We really liked the sound of like death metal. And it is just heavy and crushing from start to finish. It's got some weird tracks on it, like Satan is a Lawyer is a really weird sounding one.
I think I listened to that song first. I was like, this is interesting.
If I was to like say anything, I would be like Clone, Lizard Skin, Love, Everything is Fire. Those songs are just start to finish amazing and heavy, and I absolutely adore the album. And anytime I listen to it, because back when I worked for the city of Bloomington utilities, I had a friend that I was introducing to metal, and he like really got into it. And basically I was like, man, you just pick CDs from my little CD collection that I have. Listen, and he grabbed the Terra Incognita and put it in. And I was like, who the fuck is this? What am I listening to? This is awesome. And he's like, dude, this is Gojira. And I'm like, oh, I forgot the first album was good.
Yeah. It's really interesting when you kind of like forget that a band sounds completely different than like some of their earlier work. Like
because, well, their like second album, I just really don't dig it. It's not bad.
The Link,
but it was definitely The Link. It was definitely them like slowly coming onto their sound, their defining tone, but they hadn't fully realized it yet.
And then From Mars to Sirius.
And then From Mars to Sirius happened, and
dude, Ocean Planet, the opener, it's so good.
Ocean Planet,
it's
Backbone.
So heavy. It's so
Global
heavy.
Warming is such a good closing track.
That's kind of a conversation I've had before. Like what albums just have like some of the strongest openings? Like one of my favorite records in terms of like, dude, these first few tracks are just amazing, is Nothing by Meshuggah. I think just those Stanga, Perpetual Black. Hold on. No, I don't want to listen to Nothing Else Matters. Spotify, what are you doing? Nothing. Meshuggah. I clicked on Meshuggah, not the album, dude. Where are you? There he is. Stanga, Rational Gaze is just a great track. Perpetual Black second, and Closed Eye Visuals. Just 4 really solid tracks. But then you look at like From Mars to Sirius, and you have like Ocean Planet, Backbone, and From the Sky. Just
so good.
Absolute madness.
And I think for me, when it comes to like this,
wait a minute, they covered
music,
Escape. They covered Metallica.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. It's not on Spotify.
They're huge Metallica fans.
I'm sorry. Continue.
No. But the one thing that I really like about metal, and like there are other genres that do it, but like you can really get something out of listening to a full album. And this might be the prog in me talking, because concept albums and all that. but like just like it's somebody who not only knows how to write a good song, but several good songs that constructs a solid album from the start to finish where it feels like everything flows together really well.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those. Like an example would be Flesh God Apocalypse's Labyrinth. A lot of people don't seem to like that one as one of their albums, but for me,
I've heard good things about Labyrinth.
That album just flows from start to finish really well. It ends beautifully. I mean, they always end on a piano track because they want to show off Francesco. And I mean, I love Francesco. He's a great guy. I follow these guys on
I love the name
Instagram
Francesco.
Well, good news. 2 of the band members are named Francesco.
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
I love how they embrace like their Italian heritage. I mean, they came out with 3 wines. They sell their own pasta. Like,
yeah. Have you tried their wines?
Yes, I bought all 3.
Are they
actually
good?
Had a unfortunately you can't get the 2 I really liked. I think they're all good. I talked to an Italian friend of mine who I met through metal community. And I showed her the Fool, which is the last one they sold, and she's like, I hope you didn't pay a lot. That's like common table wine. And I'm like, I mean, I paid like $50 because I had to ship it from Italy. And she's like, so, I mean, they were selling it for $25, but then you got to pay all the shipping and shit.
Oh, so, yeah. I mean, that's cross country, especially for alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can understand that.
But the Minotaur and whatever the white wine was that they were selling for Labyrinth, amazing. I loved them. I immediately went to their sales rep. I was like, what are sell them again. Come on, hurry up. I want to buy these. Yeah. And then she was like, no, we're not selling that anymore. I'm like, tell me the grapes. Tell me wines that I can buy.
Tell me the grapes again. Tell me the kind of baskets you used. I need it. Yeah.
So, yeah, they were good. They were good. At first it was gimmicky, but like I liked the taste of it. And a lot of metal bands are doing coffee and alcohols.
I really want to try Metallica's Blackened Whiskey. I've heard it's decent.
I wanted to try Opus Chocolate Stout, but they don't do it anymore.
Bummer.
Now they have a Pale Communion Ale for their album Pale Communion.
Is that their new one?
No, that came out when we were still in college.
Okay.
Their newest one, God, I can't even remember how to pronounce it, but their newest one's good. But
I haven't given. Well, first of all, I think we brought this up, and did we bring that up this episode or episode 0?
Episode 0.
Yeah. Jeez. I've
You've
not
only
given
listened to
Opus
mostly
a ton.
Watershed.
Yeah. Watershed. I've listened to most of Watershed.
Yeah.
But something you mentioned, songs and bands that have songs that flow into each other, that's going to come up a lot when we talk about Slugdge.
Oh yeah,
because that is like ear candy for me. I love it when songs bleed into one another. It's absolutely awesome. And I think if we don't have anything else, I guess I do want to bring up new single by Napalm Death is really good. It's called Amoral. You should check it out. It's got a really cool punk influence, which is kind of cool. I mean, grindcore is hardcore punk and thrash metal, I believe, is kind of how grindcore. But this is a very punkish. If you aren't big on Napalm Death, maybe check that track out. I highly recommend it. And I
mean, I was digging it. I was listening to it right before just because Ethan brought it up, and yeah, I mean, I like the vocals, I like the guitar, sound pretty decent.
Yeah, it's very groovy. Mr. Bungle is coming back. That's interesting. Some of my friends are super excited for them. I'm a big Mike Patton fan, so that's cool. I haven't listened to a ton of Mr. Bungle, but that is super exciting. And like I said, I'm just kind of going through like the new releases here on Spotify just to see if there's anything else worth bringing up in passing. I
got one other just to bring up, which is Imperial Triumph. Came out with a new album not too long ago, and if you're not familiar with them,
I have never heard of them.
I personally cannot stand the vocals.
Okay. Good
but
start.
That's just a really that's just a weird thing for me. Like, I don't know why I can't get past it. But they're avant-garde, so that just means we're going to do whatever the hell they want. And shit, I mean, they have a fucking God, what barbershop quartet at one point.
Okay.
In one of the songs, and it's like,
all right,
they do a lot of like the avant-garde jazz.
Dude, I love
trumpets.
weird stuff. Maybe I should check it out.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the band Igor?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Igor.
I like Igor a lot.
All right. Well, I think with that we should segue in.
Yes, let's get into the meat and potatoes. I forgot in between recording 0 and 1, I was going to flip a coin or something to figure out who was going to go first.
You want me to ask Google to flip a coin?
Sure. Or maybe just a random chooser. Let's do a name chooser.
Cool.
Random name picker. Enter all names, each on a separate line. Mitch, Ethan. Pick random name. Crap.
You're going first?
Yes, so I won. Okay.
I mean, if you don't want to go first, I'm more than happy to do mine.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I should follow you. Here's the thing. I should have typed out my thoughts instead of sending a bunch of voice messages to myself while driving. So I have to remember some stuff.
I mean, if it helps,
I'll go first. It's completely fine.
All right,
Go
I'm
ahead.
just
What were you
winging
gonna
it.
say? Yeah, I'm kind of winging it as well. Okay, so Mitch gave me a album by a English death metal band, Slugdge. I'm just calling them death metal, but looking on Wikipedia and the Metallum archives, they've been listed as like blackened death metal. I don't understand sludge metal, unless if it's just a joke classification because it's close to their name.
No, sludge
really,
is like,
isn't sludge very? I thought sludge was an offshoot of like doom.
It kind of is. So it's like Mastodon's like first couple of records. God, I'm forgetting sludge metal
because
bands now.
Listening to Esoteric Malacology, it is not very. I do not consider esoteric sludge at all.
For me, when I think of them, I'm like, this is progressive black metal. Or not black metal. God, I'm
progressive death. See, I was going
progressive
to call it
melodic death.
Yeah, when listening to Esoteric, I was like, this is I would consider it melodic death metal. And I'm completely fine with that. So Esoteric Malacology is the most recent record by English death metal band Slugdge, released in 2018. I believe for this album, they brought on board, let's look at the lineup here. No, for Metallum, it says it's still Matt Moss and Kev Pearson.
Yep. Okay.
So, but I mean, that could just be wrong.
No, I kind of remember an article shortly after listening to that. I think it was like Metal Hammer or Metal Sucks or something like that. It just popped up on Facebook, but they're like, Slugdge announced that Black Dahlia Murder drummer they're going to be their live drummer.
Okay.
Woo.
Cool. And he's a really good drummer. So that's dank.
Yeah, 100%.
So Esoteric Malacology, I believe it is a 8-track album lasting nearly an hour. It's absolutely colossal. For what, did you start laughing?
I did start laughing.
It is colossal for me in terms of what in my opinion of this album. I don't have a lot of negative things to say, but I will say that I do think it runs a little long in the tooth at times. So out of the 8 tracks, there are 2 or 3 that I'm kind of indifferent about or don't like. We open up with War Squids, and this song puts me to sleep.
I love that song.
And it's not like it's. When I say puts me to sleep, I'm mainly just saying that it doesn't stick out to me. There are the most interesting things to me in this track are a couple of the vocal hooks, particularly in the first verse, the line "Master, born of the plasma." I really like the way that line is delivered. The vocalist is fantastic. So I'm kind of doing some broad strokes here before I get into like meat and potatoes. I love the vocals. I think the vocalist is really cool. I really like the clean singing as well for the most part, especially when it's delivered in more traditionally in terms of actually just singing. Example, in War Squids, there's a lot of kind of what I was describing as cultish chanting singing in between the verses and choruses. I'm not huge into how that was done. It's not horrible, but it just didn't strike me. I know it's there more for like texture and atmosphere, but it was like kind of whatever to me. So War Squids kind of just puts me off. I wasn't huge into it. It's not horrible. It's not a bad opener per se, but I have every time I've listened to this album about 4 times now, specifically for this thing, which says something. If I didn't like the record, I would not have listened to it more than once. So I do enjoy this album, but War Squids just doesn't do much for me. It's hard to describe per se, but there's not enough hooks, there's not enough meat for me to dig into. Now, that being said, like we mentioned earlier, I am a slut for songs that bleed into each other. I love it. And that being said, War Squids fades into Crop Killer beautifully. I love the intro to Crop Killer. I believe the intro is a tapping guitar part. It might be bass, but I'm pretty sure it's guitar, with a really nice delay and atmosphere to it. I absolutely love it. And then once the actual distorted guitar comes in, it hits like a truck. I really, really like Crop Killer. It is a fantastic song. Yes. Okay. So Crop Killer, I like I said, I love the instrumentation of Crop Killer. You go into the spectral burrows, which again, the songs fade into one another, which I really, really dig. And the spectral burrows, the in between the more harsh vocals, you have a kind of a softer sung cleaner parts, and then at the end of the lines they kind of fade into the throat singing, which I really dig. Spectral Burrows, really good track. I think, no, it's not that one. It's Transylvanian Fungus that slows it down a little bit. Here's a good way, because I think for the next reviews I'm going to actually type out my thoughts. Actually,
I planned on doing that myself. I meant to do it for this, but I kept putting it off. Like I said, I want to go into this.
And it's fine. Like I'm gonna edit through a little bit anyway. I know that I typed out. Okay, so I found it. So some of my overall thoughts, I love, like I said, I love the harsh vocals. I wasn't big on War Squids. I love Crop Killer. I guess when I first was typing this out, I was meh about Spectral Burrows, but I have grown to like that song. Slave Goo World, the intro hits. I absolutely love it. Let me listen to this real quick. Why did I say I didn't like the intro to Spectral Burrows? I just played it a little bit and I love it. I love it. And then at the end it goes into... Yes, that's something I noticed. The end of Spectral Burrows, it kind of does this weird white noise transition. As the song fades out, it just kind of becomes noise. And then at the very beginning of Slave Goo World, you have just this immense riff with your heavy tremolo picking. That fast double bass wakes me right up, dude. I absolutely love Slave Goo World. I think Slave Goo World I would probably call the best track on the record, in my opinion. Okay. My opinion, or at least a very big highlight. I love Slave Goo World, and I think in Slave Goo World it has like a really cool... I really like the blasts, but that might be in Transylvanian Fungus that I'm trying to think of at the moment. Yeah, so when you go into in case of people are wondering about the cuts and everything, I sent a bunch of voice messages to myself on Facebook, giving myself notes. I should have written it down, but about 150, a minute 50 into Slave Goo World, you have some of my favorite, like, the drum sounds on this record are really good, and I'm sure they're programmed, but I don't care. I love how the blast that this sounds. The snare is just so punchy, and it's kind of an old school sounding blast in the background of all of the chaos going on. So Slave Goo World transitions into Transylvanian Fungus with a actually it's more of like a wind sound effect. I'm actively listening to this as I do it as well. Transylvanian Fungus, the album slows down a little bit, and I absolutely love me a chunky, chuggy riff. Transylvanian Fungus is another highlight for me, I believe. So apparently my notes, all I had for Transylvanian Fungus was I like the slower tempo and the riff sounds really, really dope. So that's cool. I like the transition into Putrid Fairy Tale. Putrid Fairy Tale is another track that doesn't hit me that much, similar to War Squids. The parts that I really like about Putrid Fairy Tale, however, are kind of like the vocal hooks here and there I do enjoy, but I do really enjoy the intro and the outro to the song. It's a very pretty intro until the distorted guitar comes in, and it's pretty heavy. And then when you go into Salt Thrower, which is an awesome song, it's also the longest track on the record, sitting at about 8 minutes 54 seconds. Really good track. A bit long in the tooth for me, a little bit. I like when I was listening to it, I felt myself zone out about halfway through until I came back in once it transitions to another part of the song, kind of re-grips me back into it. And then we end on something that I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of, Limo Vincit Omnia. Do you have any idea? Good enough.
I mean, that's what it looks like. I don't know what language that actually is, so
gotcha.
It's not Latin, so I now clue.
So for me, the outro kind of bores me as well. I like most of this record. In fact, I really enjoy a lot of this record. The only tracks that I find kind of bore me were War Squids, Putrid Fairy Tale, and then the last track, which I'm not going to try to pronounce again. But I think you have songs like Crop Killer, Spectral Burrows, Slave Goo World, Transylvanian Fungus. After you get through War Squids, you have like 4 really solid songs back to back to back, and then you have the absolutely lost my train of thought. Then you have Salt Thrower, which is another good song, but the other 3 just kind of throws me for a loop. I wasn't huge into those, but by no means does it make the record bad. Like I said, I listened to this thing front to back 4 times for the podcast, and I wish I was a little bit better at speaking my mind, but it's just late, and I think that's the issue at this point. Overall, I am glad that Mitch gave me this band because I had never heard of them, and I am very interested in listening to their other material, which I just realized that on Spotify, the Cosmic Cornucopia is their 3 previous albums before that album. But it's weird because it starts with their 3rd record, and then it goes back in time instead of starting with the first and going forward. So that
interesting. I actually didn't know that. This is the only record by them I've actually listened to. My friends keep telling me to go and buy the Cosmic Cornucopia.
Gotcha. Yeah, but at least on Spotify it goes in reverse order. So Esoteric is their 4th record, then it goes back. So something you guys should, I think the reason Slugdge came up in terms of Mitch and I riffing on each other at FedEx was we were talking about joke bands, and with Slugdge, a lot of their songs are about like slugs and mollusks.
No. All of their songs are
right, correction,
about
all of their songs, and most of their things are like puns, flying snails, Let Us
War
Let Us
Squids.
Pray, War Squids, I Hate
Crop
Salt.
Killer.
I think a lot of them are just puns of different bands.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Like Crop Killer is Cop Killer by Body Count. War Squids is War Pigs. I mean, they don't sound anything like those. Yeah, it doesn't sound like any of the songs or bands that they're parodying. It's just kind of like a, hey,
reference
look, we made. Yeah.
Which, based on that, so are you aware that Metallum is like the most toxic website I've ever seen? Sometimes
I'm aware.
Like, here one review for Esoteric Malacology, 0%.
Wow.
Like, dude, and literally his thing is like, this band's a joke band. I'm like, okay. Like
the lyrics is good. Are really well written too,
yeah, that is something. Yeah. So I did a quick glance over the lyrics of this particular record. It is well written. It's basically stories about slug gods and things of that nature. It's hard for me to wrap my head around, but the music is just good enough that I don't really care about the lyrics as I'm listening, but they are well done, so I have to give them props for that. Before I ramble any longer on Esoteric Malacology, I do recommend it. I think if you like death metal, you will probably like this record. Like I said, there are a couple of points that dip in the quality, but once you get into the from track 2 to basically 7, because Putrid Fairy Tale is not my least favorite song on the record. Basically, the opener and the ender for me, or the closer rather, are just kind of meh. But then everything in the middle is pretty solid. I'd probably give it like a 7.5, 8, something like that out of 10.
All right.
Recommend it. It's a good record. I'm definitely going to listen to more Slugdge in the future.
I mean, I definitely recommend it. I honestly like every song on there except for like the very last one.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, give me your thoughts. Am I just dead wrong about some stuff? I know that I didn't really go into as much detail as I was hoping because I didn't feel like listening to every 50-second voice thing I sent myself. I apologize, guys. It's episode 1. I'm working on it.
We'll definitely be more prepared. We kind of, to just give everyone context, we kind of talked about this in episode 0, but I was dealing with a lot of like mental stuff and just bad location to do any of this. We've actually been talking about this since like December,
January, I think,
some like that. And I finally told Ethan, like, yeah, I'm just going to get ready and do this. And like prior to doing this, I was setting up all my recording equipment. Like I finally put up my monitors and got my music setup done like 5 minutes prior to actually recording this. So this is more ad lib. Like we still did the research, we still listened, but we're definitely going to have a bit more structure.
Like I said, I listened to Esoteric 4 times.
Yeah.
So thank you for that record. I appreciate it. I always need new music to listen to, which is the whole idea. So Mitch, what is your opinion? Oh yeah, your thoughts on the record. Yeah.
I personally really liked it. I thought it was a good placeholder in mellow death. Like it definitely gives you that Black Dahlia Murder at the Gates kind of sound, especially in like Putrid Fairy Tale.
Mm-hmm.
Like all that. I was listening to that while you were kind of talking about how you didn't like it, and like I get it, but at the same time it's definitely like that solid classic Slaughter of the Soul kind of just mellow death sound. It's
very polished as well. I don't know if comparing it to Black Dahlia is the best. I feel like in terms of song structure, as much as I like Black Dahlia, I think these are much more grand scale songs than
there's kind of with
that. Black Dahlia, they kind of have their niche. I don't want to say that they're as repetitive as say Slayer, but they definitely, when you hear a Black Dahlia song, it's like, oh yeah, that's Black Dahlia. So I think Slugdge has a bit more of a grander scale.
I definitely agree with you on everything. I'm not 100% in agreement with you on the first track. I personally really enjoyed it. But like the clean parts to no crud. The Spectral Burrows, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Those clean parts, I mean, immediately I'm getting like in terms of vocals, Gojira vibes. Like
Yeah,
that's that I heard it, I was like, wow, is Joe on this record?
I love I love that death metal isn't like afraid to have some cleaner singing and melodic moments to it.
Right.
Anybody that knows me, I really love Cattle Decapitation, and it's not kind of in the same vein. There's a little bit of it on Death Atlas, but having melodic screaming and having stuff like that, it just adds another layer to what you can do in death metal. So it's not just always, as much as I like a band like Cannibal Corpse, you know, it's just more interesting to me when you have more dynamic vocalists.
Yeah, and I just like dynamics in general, which is why I lean towards more of the progressive death metal, like older Opeth and Gojira and everything, where, you know, all of a sudden, especially with Opeth, you got like this heavy like death riff and like guttural vocals, and all of a sudden it's like a nice little 12-string guitar solo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I absolutely love this album, and that's why I kind of wanted to recommend it to you. I felt that it was, since you liked, you know, some mellow death and Gojira and stuff like that, I felt it was like a good, nice blend of like that bit of prog with a lot of the mellow death.
Yes, absolutely. It was a solid choice. I'm digging it. I dug it rather.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll dig it some more.
Indeed, I'm probably going to listen to some of their the rest of the, well, not all of it, but some of the cornucopia collection tomorrow at work. So now,
all right,
what is your opinion on Toxicity by System of a Down?
So to give some preface to this, I have heard System of a Down before. I'd be very surprised to many people haven't heard of them. Like,
well,
they were big in early 2000s, yeah. And like, I've heard Aerials before and Chop Suey, Toxicity. So I just never listened to a full album before by them.
Yeah.
And
Toxicity was one of my first like full metal records as well. It was one of the first ones I got my hands on.
I could see that.
It was burnt, but you know.
I actually for a long time had their entire discography legally downloaded. Before I went through a lot of my music and got rid of the legally downloaded stuff. And just the stuff I didn't listen to. And I never actually really listened to them, even when I had their entire discography. And so I guess I'll give my overall opinion. Not a fan, but I do like some of it, and I do see the appeal of it, and more importantly, I see the importance of it for like that wave of metal that was coming in during that time. It definitely like hallmarked the sound, but also they had their sound and it was just them.
Yeah, System is a very unique sounding band. And Toxicity definitely has moments where they lean really heavily into that. So,
yeah. So things I liked. I do like Surge's voice when he's like doing the clean singing, not really the talking or yelling that he does. So like things like Aerials and Toxicity and like Chop Suey. I mean, I love those tracks. I really do. But the more like new metal, like heavier kind of sound that was more just about rhythmic stuff, not my thing. I enjoy the lyrics. I think the lyrics are, I mean, really impressive and sometimes repetitive beyond what I can stand. but
I can agree
they're
with that.
trying to hammer in a message. I will say, we chose an interesting time period to give me this record just because of Deer Dance and what's going on in the U.S. currently.
To be fair, we chose these albums in January.
I think I listened to Deer Dance and I was like,
well, here's the thing. I don't, and I'm sure maybe for the future we don't necessarily have to do a track by track like I tried to do, but like I love Prison Song. Even not even going into the lyrics, I think as an opener, I think it's super heavy, especially for 2001.
Oh, it's very heavy. It's very heavy. I just
you know, it's. I feel like if even if like a hardcore band did a cover of that or something like that, it would sound awesome. I mean, it sounds awesome in and of itself. It sounds great live too. So
yeah, and so it's like I said, I'm not a fan of that like yelling that they do or the guitar player, his like weird little screamy things. Not like not like actual like growling screaming, but just like high pitch kind of yelling.
Yeah, like in Prison Song with the
I can't
in Hollywood. So
I can't stand that.
His voice was he got a lot better as they went along. Like if you listen to Lonely Day by them.
Oh, Lonely Day is great.
It's mainly him singing. So like
right.
So like he can sing. It's just like it was 2001.
Yeah. So you know, as a whole record, again, I see its importance. I get why it's important, why people like it. It was definitely a album of the time, like looking at other things coming out during that. I mean, that was the whole new metal kind of age between like the 90s and early 2000s. I think it's solid. I have respect for it. It's just not my sound. Like I can objectively say like I understand when something is good and I just don't like it versus like, no, this is written bad and here's why. This is not something that's written bad. It's just not a sound that I particularly enjoy.
When you say that, is it's like something where if it came on, you wouldn't necessarily skip it, but you couldn't sit down and like listen to the whole record. Like let's say like if Bounce came on.
Oh my God.
I love Bounce. Bounce is so stupid. I love it.
I mean, the thing is like most of these songs aren't even that long. Like Ariel's is only clocking in. Ariel's is only clocking in at 6 minutes. Like chump change, man.
I mean, Bounce, it's 154.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I probably my brain would turn off before I was like, oh wait, I should change. Yeah. But like depends. It would depend on the song, but like, I mean, if Deer Dance came on or Needles or, I mean, like I was listening to this before we were recording and like, even though I'm not like a huge fan of like Jet Pilot, I was like, oh no, you know, this isn't terrible.
Yeah. Jet Pilot's lyric. I've always tried to be like, what is this song about? And I actually found, I think I listened to Anthony Fantano's review of it recently. I know, but it popped up in my feed. I was like, you know what? It's only like a 6-minute video. And like he pointed out, I was like, oh yeah, they said that Jet Pilot does not mean anything. Like, oh, all right, that makes sense. But I like it. I think it's fairly heavy. I think it's impressive that just a lot of the songs are heavy and it's not like it's death metal or thrash. It's just really unique. I like how I'm interjecting way too much. I apologize.
No, you're good. I prefer this. I wanted to stay quiet mostly because during Esoteric, because you were basically just saying things I agreed with, except for like War Squids and Putrid Fairy Tale.
Yeah, but this is also I think it's way easier to dissect Toxicity in terms of because I think Toxicity is a lot more easily digestible than say Esoteric. Even though I really like Esoteric, I've also been listening to Toxicity since I was in high school. So
and so honestly, if I got a System of a Down record that consisted more of a sound of like Deer Dance, Chop Suey, Toxicity, Aerials, like that just kind of sound where it's very dynamic throughout the song, where in switching between that heavy and that clean, and like even if the song is heavy most of the time, I think I would just like it more because I really like Surge's clean voice. I really do.
Have you ever listened to his solo work?
I have not. I had been meaning to. I saw it pop up and I was like, oh, I want to check this out because I like his voice.
Yeah, fair enough. I was just curious. You can continue.
But yeah, I mean, I would definitely, as like a history piece, recommend this. If you're like wanting to see like what was going on in 2000, 2001 kind of era. This is solid, along with like Disturbed and Limp Bizkit. Like, you're not saying that they're good bands by any means, though. I don't think they're terrible.
But I would argue that System is actually like a good band.
I would too. I would also argue they're unique to the rest of the new metal kind of rising. Like, they definitely have like an alternative feel to it. And they just have their signature sound. And part of that is due to Surge and his voice, because he's bringing in that kind of Armenian sound that, he's very proud of his Armenian heritage.
And you can hear that in the music too. The music, not even just the vocals, the music has a very, I don't want to say foreign, but what's a better word? It has a
non-Western.
Yeah, it has its own feel. It sounds like they are taking influence from other parts of the world, especially from like where they're from. So
yeah. So I would recommend it. I would give it like a 6. Like, I definitely personally felt listening to it that sometimes it was a chore for me to listen to. Because it would be things like, oh wow, I really like that track, and I'm like, okay, I've heard the same like 5 words repeated 5 times. Can we
there is a lot of repetition, especially in songs like X and Shimmy and things along Bounce. That. I like Bounce. Bounce is so stupid. I also so what would you say are your favorite tracks, or maybe songs that you're like, absolutely, I just can't do this?
Favorite tracks, I mean, Needles, Deer Dance.
I strangely don't like Needles that much. It's okay. I think it just starts losing me once it gets to the pull the tape or hey, I don't know. I think I just start getting I start tuning out the further it goes in, and I'm not quite sure why. Because it's good, but
Chop Suey, Toxicity, Aerials. I mean, I absolutely love those. The rest of the album, either I just don't want to hear it all, or I could take it or leave it. But especially Bounce. Bounce can go away. I know you love it. I know you think it's funny.
It's so stupid.
I just couldn't. I couldn't.
What's your opinion of Psycho?
I mean, I like this bass intro.
Yeah, it's solid. I think it's a very once it gets in, it's very heavy, which I like. But I'm a caveman, so I'm fine with zeros.
I don't like zeros if they're arrhythmic or polyrhythms.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is just reminding me of some of their other stuff. It's not that it's not heavy or anything. It certainly is. I mean, not to the extent that like Cannibal Corpse is heavy or something like that. But
yeah, I mean, there are different kinds of heavy. You know,
heavy, yeah.
Some people find hardcore punk heavy. I don't necessarily find hardcore punk heavy. You know that it all comes. Some people find Black Sabbath heavy. You know, I don't know. But yes,
it's heavy, but it's still got that like I'm just going to keep driving a fucking nail into your head until you like this kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of how I feel about like Iowa by Slipknot. The whole record is kind of like that. It's hard for me to sit down and listen to the whole thing at once just because it's constantly hitting you over the head. But yeah, but I mean, Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I pretty much said what all I need to. As I was telling Ethan, like I did listen to this several times over, probably like 4 or 5 times, but that was between January and like 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
And I think I've listened to the Opeth discography more times in that same amount of time.
Have you?
Which I'm currently going through again.
Does listening to Toxicity make you want to look at any of their other albums, like as a whole, instead of just track by tracks?
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. It would definitely be some that I would rather not do on my own and like have like a friend with me, and we might be like playing Magic the Gathering or something in the like it's a more background kind of sound. Like even when
you're not really interested in like analyzing it, you're more like you just want to vibe.
But at the same time, like when I do, you know, just vibe with stuff in the background, occasionally if there's something that like hooks me, I'll be like, oh, well, hello there. Like, I was listening to, I was over at my friend's house, and normally we're playing a board game or Magic the Gathering or something like that because we're losers. And I told him to play the new Abigail Williams album, which, I mean, I've listened to an ungodly amount of times because I absolutely love them. I love Ken Sorceron's writing. I also just love that name, even if it is a stage name. In terms of a new wave of black metal, I absolutely love them.
Right.
They have a very unique sound. But that aside, we're not talking about them. He had that playing in the background, and I didn't even recognize it for like 2 seconds. And then all of a sudden I hear clean singing. I'm like, are they doing clean singing in this record? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I need to buy this. This is wicked.
Interesting.
I don't know if you've listened to the newest one, but
I have not.
I think it's like To Walk Beyond the Dark. I absolutely recommend it. It's not the one I'm going to recommend you, but if you wanted to just like get something out of the way so I don't recommend it down the line. If you like Abigail Williams at all, especially their more ambient kind of orchestral sound, I definitely recommend that.
Gotcha. Geez, System's first record is 51 minutes long. I was just looking around. I really like the track Sugar. Sugar's really good.
Sugar is not terrible. Oh God. I don't know if I could do 50 minutes of System.
It's a lot. But apparently their first some people say that their records get better as you go, but of course some people are like, their earlier stuff's better, you know.
I mean, shit, that's
everyone. Anyway,
I mean, there are people
Bounce is a good song. Let's continue.
But enough about that. Bounce is great.
No, I like Bounce, but I also like Prison Song a lot. It's very topical. I think they could like. I think System could like put out Prison Song 2020 edition, and I would probably jam it still with updated lyrics. The prison system is quadrupled. Jesus Christ.
I mean, to be fair, like they'll just be like, we didn't mean to predict your song.
So yeah, I mean, Esoteric Malacology and Toxicity. Yeah. I think we actually both rated very similarly. 6 for Toxicity, about a 7 for Malacology.
Yeah.
And well,
anything else you've been listening to or playing?
Oh, you went for the transition. Nice.
I did.
You did. I appreciate you. I've been listening to a ton of. I do a lot of podcasts now. So like I'm a dumb nerd, so I really like cryptids and things like that. I'm listening to Chilluminati and which
you told me about them when you were working at FedEx.
Yeah, so I'm actually following them on Patreon at the moment. So I'm in their Discord, and I get to talk to a lot of other people that like ghosts and Bigfoot and dumb stuff like that.
Look at this real fan over here.
I mean, I may or may not have also done that because they were looking for a audio engineer, and but that apparently that listing is gone now, so I don't know. I've also been listening to a lot of Cox and Crendor. Very entertaining. If you just want a podcast about two idiots talking to each other. I'm kidding. I love you guys, Jesse.
Oh,
and
you mean
Crendor.
This podcast?
Oh, I mean this. Oh, dude. There's that. What's my recent listening been? Facebook, please. Not Facebook, Spotify. For some reason I've been listening to Andrew WK. I don't know. His newest record is honestly not that bad. It's got a couple of like really decent tracks. Obviously I've been listening to Slugdge. I've done a little bit of System just because I've been on a little bit of a kick with them. The Offspring has come up here and there. What's my recent searches look like? I have not looked for 3 Days Grace. Why is that there? I have not looked at Doris. Why is that there? Oh, it's separate, dude. Your desktop one and your phone one is separate.
That's stupid as hell.
That is very dumb. Kyle Kinane released a new record. He's a comedian, very funny. Highly recommend. I was telling you in between, I started getting into a Pig Destroyer. Yeah. They have a song called Army of Cops, which is really good. I dig that song. A little bit of Napalm Death, a little bit of Meshuggah, a little bit of At the Gates. I've been doing that, and I've also been doing audiobooks. So I'm on the newest Maximum Ride novel, and everyone's saying it's the worst thing that they've ever read, but I'm like, this is better than the last book, at least so far. Maybe I'm only about halfway through it, so maybe it like tanks in the last half, and if so, I'm going to be very mad at James Patterson because he could just let it die, and he won't. So that's kind of where I'm at. I haven't really been. Oh, I'm so dumb. I do Twitch streaming, so of course I've been playing games.
I don't really play games.
I don't really play games. I just finished The Godfather Dawn Edition, which is a game based on The Godfather. It's very fun. And then I'm trying to get footage to start doing more game reviews back on my Goodnight Productions channel, which I think this will be uploaded on. So I finished that, and I started playing my first actual, like, intentional, I'm going to sit down and finish Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, also known as Coder. And that is going swimmingly, actually. So I've been doing that. I'm looking forward to the Marvel's Avengers game. I don't know if I'm going to buy it, but it looks interesting. And outside of that, I've been playing Monster Train. It's a fantastic deck builder if you have not played that. Television, I've been watching Hannibal. Hannibal is fantastic. If you have any interest in like Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, that whole world with Hannibal Lecter, fantastic show. It's impressive what they got away with in terms of like what they were allowed to show on NBC. And I've been watching that with my mom, and which is interesting. I didn't think she would like it, but we've loved it. And I started watching The Irishman with my dad the other day, which is like a 3-hour mob movie. We got about 2 hours in, and we're going to finish it at a later date. So that's just kind of been what I'm doing.
I never
couple TV shows.
My mom also does it. Like, she'll just pause movies and stop watching and then like come back to it later. And I don't know how people do it.
Well, it was a 3.5 hour movie. It was 3.5 hours.
I get that, but
and my dad's also really anal about stuff, so it hit 6 o'clock, and he's like, "I gotta watch the news." I'm like, "All right, cool, I'm leaving."
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like for me personally, like if I'm sitting down for like it's one thing if I'm not going like binge watch a TV series. Not that I haven't done that, but for me, like if I'm sitting down for a movie, even if it's like a 3-hour long movie, I'm going to sit through all 3 hours unless like some emergency comes up. I might pause it to like make some food, but I won't go like days or weeks in between. My mom does it all the time, and we'll be like watching a movie together. Like I think she did that with the Quiet Place, and like
how are you going to leave in the middle of A Quiet Place? That movie's like, great.
It got to a really good part, and then she's like, "Hey, I need to go take a nap," and I'm like, What do you mean you gotta go take a nap?
You're able to sleep right now." I mean, I liked A Quiet Place a lot, except for the ending. I thought the ending was kind of dumb, but
yeah. No. Well,
also,
I'm excited for the second one.
Yeah. So quick interjection with like some news. I don't think you'll care, but if anybody's listening that's a fan of WWE, I guess the announcer for NXT, one of the commentators rather, Mauro Ranallo, left, and that's a bummer because he was the only one that I actually liked. But he's a really good commentator. But he's not just WWE. He's done UFC. He's done basketball games, boxing, and everything. He's a very good he's a very good commentator, and that's a bummer. He has a history of mental health problems, and he left one of the WWE shows because one of the other commentators is a douche and was like giving him hell all the time. And so he left SmackDown and went to NXT. So if he left due to mental health reasons, my thoughts and sympathies go out to Mauro Ranallo. And if not, I hope you find something cool to do afterwards. So what have you been listening to? What have you been up to, my dude? Let's continue.
So aside from trying to, I mean, I guess you'll find this somewhat interesting. Aside from me trying to move up in FedEx, because I don't know why, money. I'm trying to be a ramp agent or a team leader on Nightside because Nightside gets a $3 shift premium.
Yes, I've heard about that. It almost makes you want to try to come back.
Only until January. Yeah, but you would have to work nights, man. I can't see you doing that.
I mean, yeah, that's fair, probably. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I could be making like $25, $26 an hour if I get a ramp agent position. Plus,
that would be sick nasty.
Yeah, I mean, that's more, and it's full time. Like, that's more money than I've ever made in my life. And I could finally finish building my liquid cooling PC that is only a third of the way done.
Yeah.
So, aside from that, and working, I've moved to a new house, as I mentioned in episode 0, and I really like it. It's nice and spacious, 2 stories, not that much more expensive than the apartment that my roommates and I were renting. We got our own yard, our neighbors are cool, and I don't have to hear children and other people screaming at all hours of the night and cars park in front of my house. Like, that's not a thing, and it's just nice. I actually can sleep with my windows open, and all I hear is like crickets and frogs chirping, and I'm like, oh, this is pleasant and lovely.
Yeah, snifty.
Other than that, like, I play Apex Legends on the computer quite often.
What a nerd.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I really like Respawn. They made Titanfall 2 and 1, and they are both really good games, despite what other people may or may not say. So yeah, I'll play Apex Legends. I haven't done it in a couple of days, but that's because Comcast or my modem were crapping out. It's stable now. That's why we're able to do this podcast.
Oh, have you played Fall Guys?
No, but I've seen a lot of people dying.
It's so fun. I love Fall Guys. I forgot to mention.
I've thought about it, but I don't know if I want to spend the money on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's $20. My one of the other guys on WASD Gamecom bought it for me, so it's very fun.
Nice. Now, in terms of what I've been listening to, I've gotten excited. I already pre-ordered the new Oceans of Slumber record, the Ocean Collective. There's a lot of Ocean in my collection, apparently. So those are coming out. I also paid for the Black Crown Initiate.
My last show was with them.
Yeah, I remember that. That wasn't a good time for you.
Yeah, that show
It
sucked.
was a good show. It was a good show.
It sucked for me. That show sucked.
Yeah, it sucked for you, but that was due to band problems and not because the music was bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm
the music
over it.
was great. Yeah.
Warforged was great. Did you go to that show?
Yeah, that's where me and you were hanging out.
Were we?
Yeah, I like came over and you were sitting on the ground. I was like, dude, what's up? And you're like, oh, I'm not.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I was definitely sitting on the ground because the table they gave us was really short.
Yeah, it was.
It was like a ground table.
But yeah, I went to that because I wanted to see Black Crown Initiate, and I had no clue that you were even playing. And then the next week I went and saw Rivers of Nile.
Yeah,
which was fantastic.
I still need to finish that record.
Oh my god, how have you not? It's such a good, well-written
it is.
record.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. But like, if I'm not super focused on something, I will be listening to it, and then it's like, I need to switch to something else now, and I don't know why my brain's like that. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
See, for me, yeah, no, you're good. For me, I just listen to albums from beginning to end, unless there's like a song I'm really itching to hear. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what I've listened to / watch, for those of you who don't know, Septic Flesh, back in like 2018, 2019, played their first ever live show with a full symphony and choir. And if you don't know Septic Flesh, they're a Greek band that records with the Prague Symphony Orchestra and Choir. And it's amazing. And one of the guitar players has like a master's in classical theory and music composition. Mm-hmm. And so it's different from Flesh God because there's less focus on the guitars and more focus on the symphony. Like the guitars and drums are still there, but they're not like technical or like astounding sounding. They're definitely complementary instruments to the rest of the soundscape. Mm-hmm. So they actually released the DVD, and I went ahead and bought it, even though I couldn't go to that concert because it was in Mexico, and I did not have the money or the desire to travel to Mexico. I almost did it because I have a friend who lives in Mexico who I would have loved to have seen her and also just gone to that show and hung out with her. But I've never really had a desire to just go down to Mexico. It's not my kind of climate. I'm more into like wintry areas like Germany, Norway, Sweden.
Yeah, the sun sucks.
Yeah. And yeah, I've never been interested in going there, even though now that I've been out in desert climates, when I went out to Red Rocks, I did a bunch of tours out in Utah and Arizona in the national parks. I didn't mind it. I wouldn't mind doing that more often, but anyways, so I bought the DVD and I watched it. I really enjoyed it. I wish for some reason I couldn't get a good quality on my gaming computer with it, and I don't know if that was just DVD quality issues or,
to be honest, probably,
which is unfortunate. Even though like on YouTube it looked fantastic, but it could also be the fact that I was using a USB DVD thing. I don't know. Sound wise, it sounded great. It was just visuals. It was a little fuzzy due to resolution, I guess. Fantastic. Definitely worth watching or seeing, especially if you like that band. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved it. You could tell the band and the orchestra were like really into it. It was hilarious to like see some of these guys in like tuxedos, like standing up and like giving the fucking devil horns or like screaming and yelling and waving their bows. And I'm like, oh,
I'd do a show in a suit. I'd be dead, but I'd do one.
But it was hilarious because they like to utilize the children's choir for several of the songs. One of the most famous ones is the Vampire of Nazareth, which I mean, yeah, it's like the ending song is like we offer the sun. And it's like, okay, this is an interesting song to make a whole bunch of
children sing,
little children sing, especially in Mexico, quite a Christian country.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
I mean, like they sang Dante's Inferno, which is literally like talking about like the father and mother of the Antichrist. And I was like, okay, cool. Or no, that it's one of the songs off that. I could be wrong, but
right.
Yeah, it was just it was solid. I really enjoyed it. I got all like teary-eyed during like my favorite songs, which are just really pretty and have like one part that I'm just like, oh, that's so lovely. Please only do that part because that's the best.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I watch YouTube a lot, like gamers and streamers, because I like to turn my brain off.
Yep, I've been watching a lot of Northern Lion. I'm trying to decide if I want to watch his playthrough of Doki Doki Literature Club or if I just want to play it myself because it's free.
Play it yourself.
Okay. Have you played it?
Play it. I know everything about that game. Play it.
Okay. I guess I'll play it.
I put it this way. I wish I had played it instead of watching other people play it. It's one of those games that I'm like, you have to experience this yourself. I mean, do you know anything about the game?
I know it turns out to be really creepy or something like that. I mean,
on Steam, literally one of the tags, the tags is psychological horror.
Yes, I know that it's supposed to be like a weird dating sim, but then it turns into like a horror game. I just don't know anything about it. At least that I remember. Maybe I've had it spoiled, but I don't remember it anymore.
I definitely recommend playing it.
Maybe I'll do that once October hits.
And like you said, it's free. I mean, there's no. It's not long either. It's probably like 3 hours.
Yeah,
if that.
Yeah, his series is only 9 episodes. He just uploaded the finale today.
And then there. To be like specific to games that I wish I had watched somebody play, Subnautica was another one that I really wish I had just forced myself to experience.
Speaking of Northern Lion, I watched most of his for that.
It's a really pretty game.
It is. It's very pretty. If I ever get a VR headset, that would be a fun one to play.
It's horrifying. Don't do it.
I also have glasses, so like it's hard to.
Well, no, it's not. You can adjust the focus. It's like binoculars and everything. You don't have to have glasses to utilize them. You just have to adjust the focus.
Nifty.
I had a friend that had a VR headset, so he let me go and play Subnautica, and I like got in front of one of the big creatures and immediately ripped the thing off. It's like, nope, not doing this. Not good.
All right, nifty.
Anything else to add? Any news or?
Nope. I think that's gonna do it. Anyway, I think it's time to give each other our picks for next week. So I will go first if you don't care.
Go.
I'm going to give you. Have you ever listened to a band called Primitive Man?
No, I don't even know if I've heard of them.
So Primitive Man is so for Metallum, they are classified as sludge/doom metal, noise. They are a very chaotic band. Lyrical themes of hatred and misanthropy.
I know I've never listened to them, but once you said sludge doom, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
I may have mentioned them to you before.
I think you've mentioned them, or
I told you about their album called Scorn.
That's it.
Yeah, but I'm not giving you Scorn. They just released a brand new album. I listened to it a couple weeks ago. I really enjoy it. I'm going to give you the album Immersion by Primitive Man.
All right. I'll check it out, and we'll see what I think. For you, I am going to go to the Middle East and make you listen to an Israeli band that I really enjoy. I actually, if you're familiar with the YouTube reaction channel Galactic Criminal,
nope.
I actually recommended him one of their songs, and he really enjoyed it. I'm not going to give you that album, though. I'm going to give you Winterhorde. That's one word. The album is Underwatermoon, also one word.
Underwatermoon. Winterhorde, Underwatermoon. Okay.
And just to give the viewers an idea of what that might sound like, they are symphonic, progressive black and death metal, to say the least. There's like 10 members in the band.
Okay, interesting.
And,
are they on Spotify by chance?
They might be.
They are.
If they're not,
nifty.
Okay, cool. If they weren't, then
it's the album Underwatermoon. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me send that to myself on Facebook.
One of the things I always like showing people, unfortunately, you won't have this exposure unless you decide to go yourself. They have a song called Worms of Soul, and it is one of the only songs that I have ever listened to that utilizes a theremin.
Ooh, theremins are interesting.
If you want to check out that, it's not on that album. It's on their album Maestro. Septic Flesh has also utilized the theremin before.
Nifty. Okay.
So, but
cool.
This is one of my favorite bands. I randomly discovered them in high school and like totally lost track of them for years. And then I kept bothering me because I really liked the album art for Underwatermoon. And I finally, after like
it looks years, like an Ailstorm album.
Shut the fuck up.
I think I just ruined that for you.
Yep. But yeah, after years of like searching for it, I finally found it again, and it so happened that they were getting ready to release a new album shortly after I found it.
Sweet,
they only have 3 albums. But
yep, I'm looking at them right now. They definitely take their time.
Yeah. They all have lives outside of music, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
Like the bass player is like a surgeon.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably a good reason.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think that we'll end it.
Yep, we're aiming for bi-weekly. Whenever this goes up, I might aim for maybe Monday mornings. But we'll see. It depends on how quick I get this edited. So we're looking for a bi-weekly. Next episode, we're going to be going over Underwatermoon by Winterhorde and Immersion by Primitive Man. And the song we're going to end with today is actually they are friends of mine. They are an indie pop band from here in Indianapolis called 4-Story. 4-Story are really, really good. I love them a lot. I wish them nothing but the best future in every which way. All of their songs are awesome, but we're going to play my favorite, which is the song Daylight. And yeah, that's going to be exciting. And we will see you guys in a couple of weeks. My name is Ethan Carpenter. I'm joined by Mitchell Wade. This has been Distorted Entertainment. Thank you so much for your time, and we will see you later.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.
I think I missed you in the daylight. Hit the streets unhungry, marking where we left sentimental things. I thought about how things have changed. I wonder how you're feeling. If we ever held the good things, we broke each other with no intention. Innocence learned a brand new lesson. We broke each other with no intention, but here we are. The day is ending. I think I missed you in the daylight. Sank each other with some intention, but here we are. The day is ending. In my mind I see you make your way back home. And what if I was wrong? Can we be the same with the tragedy we've made? But now we'll never know. I hope she loves you with good intention. You both learn a brand new lesson. Just know I loved you with one intention, but here we are.
Cole looks like Michael Pena.